When life gets unpredictable, preparation matters. In medicine, it's all about staying alert, ready for whatever comes through the door. On the road, it's no different. That's why Volvo designs vehicles to help anticipate risk, reduce harm, and protect lives. The Volvo XC90's advanced safety systems inspire confident decisions wherever the road takes you. The Volvo XC90, for life. Proud sponsor of the Pit Podcast. Learn more at volvocars.ca/safety.
A lot of people concerned about housing. Doesn't matter what side of the equation you're on, right? You're a renter, you're trying to find a new place. Maybe you're a buyer and you're looking at a market that's exploding. You say, man, how am I going to afford things? Maybe you're a landlord and you find it's tough to make a buck and you're looking at you want to sell. And now you're looking at city intervening and maybe you're not going to get fair value. All kinds of worries from everyone in this issue. Early this week, City of Montreal announcing that they want the right of first refusal on houses to buy in an effort to increase social housing. They've looked at 300 spots, in fact, in Montreal, 300 properties that it will attempt to buy and develop into social housing. Is this the right plan? Joining me in studio, Glenn Castanheira, business development consultant. Hi, Glenn.
Hi, how you doing?
Thank you for coming in, by the way.
Pleasure. With this weather, I really wanted to walk outside.
Can you give us Cole's notes what this right of first refusal means?
So in summary, it's pretty much what it says it is. It's a right of first refusal. If you've ever sold a property or tried to buy a property, or if you have a commercial lease, often you'll have that clause in there. It just means that if a property goes up for sale, somebody gets first dibs.
Uh-huh.
And right now what that means with this law is that in certain areas, if you own a certain type of building that they are looking for and you put it up for sale, the city's going to have 60 days to say, I want it.
These 300 properties, do we know what part of town they're in? Do
we know which part? We don't know which properties, what properties they are yet, but we know the areas. There are 10 areas.
Yeah.
There's Bellechasse in Rosemont. There's the racetrack on the Carry, the Blue Bonnet, right?
Yep.
Northern Nuns Island, the Faubourg between Saint-Hubert and Christophe Colomb, L'Assomption in the East End around the Olympic Stadium, the railroad tracks in Plateau and Rosemont, everything around there. The future Anjou and L'Angelier subway station, everything around there. The Bridge Wellington area in Pointe Saint Charles is targeted. Eastern Lachine and Quartier Latin.
Thank you. Thanks for coming with that list because I haven't not seen it anywhere.
Well, here's the thing, and we're talking off air. Some people are worried about this, and I understand. The information is kind of hard to find, although it's out there. The most brokerage firms, or the larger ones, have been informed because they found that information. The Association of Brokers have this information. The IDU, Institut de Développement Urbain, have it. And many lawyer firms, legal firms have that information as well.
If I'm a landlord, I hear this, though, and I'm worried because if the city sells dibs, that means they can't. Doesn't that mean that the city can, if they've got the first offer, they have the right of this first offer? Can't they just name their price and no, it's no longer a free market when it comes to the price of that building?
And that's the thing, and that's why it's not a bad news. So in reality, no, the city can't. For the city to exercise its right of first dibs, let's call it that. It's easier, right? They need to pay the price that has been agreed on. So for the city to exercise that right, that means there needs to be a deal on the table.
Gotcha.
You're selling your place. I want to buy it. You want $1 million for it? Yeah. I agree to $1 million. For the city to come in, they need to pay that $1 million, not a penny less.
But there's not a scenario where the city's like, well, we're gonna give you $750 and you want $1 million. And they're like, well, we're not going to pay you $1 million. Here's your $750, and now you're stuck. You're not allowed to sell it.
No. You can always sell it back.
But if you want the $1 million, can you go to someone else and get the $1 million?
Oh, of course.
You can.
Of course.
So if you don't come to an agreement with the city on the agreed to price, you can still go somewhere else.
But you don't even have to negotiate with the city. That's the thing. If the city wants to come in, they need to offer you what you already got as an offer.
Okay.
That's what it means. The city can't come in. It also allows, and on a second note, it allows also that if you are a landlord of a building in that area, because what this does is it replaces the expropriation. Now, expropriation is painful. It's expensive for everybody. It's expensive for the city. It's expensive for developers.
Legal issues.
It's
all that.
terrible. It's good if you have very good lawyers and you get the price that you're owed. This allows also for landlords, or if you own a property in one of those areas and you're involved, people are going to be informed. From what I understand, the city said somewhere in March, I may be wrong on the precise date, but they are going to specify which buildings exactly they're targeting.
Gotcha.
All these landlords are going to get a letter telling them the city basically saying, we want your property. It also allows for those landlords to say, before putting their buildings up for sale and getting an agent, they can call the city and say, I'm putting it up for sale. How much are you willing to offer? Saving a lot of time and money for everybody. If anybody loses, it's maybe a real
Time
estate
is
agent.
money.
It is.
And that's important.
And if you don't like the price, you say, well, I'm going to put it up for sale.
Okay.
Let's say you get twice what you offered the city. If the city wants it, they need to pay that price.
Okay.
And again, they have 60 days to exercise that.
Here's where I think it gets murkier.
Yeah.
And I actually had, a real estate person, like out of the blue, just reach out to me, and they had this. They asked me about this. I said, this makes sense. So let's take a scenario: a building, okay, $1 million building, right? City wants it for social housing, okay. It's in a prime, all those locations that you listed, prime location.
Yeah.
So this is a building that maybe had a couple of paths ahead of it. One of the paths is city buys it, now it's social housing. Another pathway is developer gets it, turns it into condos where professionals and middle-class families can live in. City gets it, they turn it into social housing. Now you've lost all this inventory that could have been for tax-paying middle-class professional folks. Now that inventory's gone, that same person that was going to buy this place in this new development has to go somewhere else, and because there's less inventory, they're paying more. So I'm worried about this kind of manipulation in the market because it may cost professionals, families just trying to buy a condo, trying to buy a new home. It's going to make their properties more expensive. Could this be a side effect?
It is possible. And that's what's very interesting about this. Is the first time we're seeing this in Quebec, in Canada, from what I know.
Really?
Yeah, it is new. It's something we see in France that they have that power. So
Look at
yeah,
their
which isn't
economy.
always
Look at
which
the
isn't always
French economy.
reassuring. So this is a perfect example of, it's a great tool. All depends on how you use it. And we'll have to see. It is a risk, but it is a moderated risk, and I'll explain why. The buildings that are targeted right now, from what I understand, are smaller buildings, so no greater than 9 floors, and kind of like, I think they're aiming to do about 30 units. And those are numbers that I've read.
But that seems to me like the great spot for a family who wants to stay in Montreal to go to, like those smaller buildings. That's why I'm worried,
What they're going to say, and with pressure groups, and it's funny, I'm used to having to represent developers in front of pressure groups that want social housing, is that, well, it just allows to alleviate that pressure. I mean, a lot of these families are trying to get affordable housing in Montreal. It's really hard. Yeah. And this might be a solution, but what your listener sent in is a possible risk. We are going to have to keep an eye and see how this goes. Yeah. But I do remain positive. I do hope that the city does a better job of communicating this out there, because the questions you're getting are legitimate, and it is complicated.
It is Thursday, and that means at 11:30 it's City Hall, and we will have Christian Arsenault from the City of Montreal to talk about this and get their perspective a little bit more. Glenn, it's always great. Thanks for coming in. It's all great talking to you. That's Glenn Castanheira, business development consultant.